Hi,
Yeah.
Scott. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Peter, your name sounds very familiar. Where were you in the Palisades?
We were out on the Via Bluffs on Beirut Avenue
Oh,
near uh like Earlham and
mm-hmm.
Via de la Paz, sort of one block over parallel with Via de la Paz north.
Mm. A beautiful area.
Yeah, yeah. We moved there 28 years ago, so
Well,
yeah,
thank you for joining. It'll be great to just kind of talk through this
yeah.
process, how we're working together with Plant on some really great projects.
Great. And Steve, nice to meet you this morning. We were
Yeah.
impressed
Yeah.
with
Appreciate it.
we were really impressed with your depth of knowledge and um the place there, and we're definitely very eager to learn more about plant.
Awesome.
And we'll set up a time to look at the other. We drove by the other place, and we'll set up a time later with you to
Yeah. I sent you
connect.
a note about
I
that.
saw you send me a note, so I'll
Yeah.
get
Awesome.
plowing through email right now.
Well, since we're just amongst friends, Scott, we got to know in unfortunate circumstances after the fires. Scott, as I'm sure you'll learn, lived in the Palisades, lost his home, lost his office, practiced in
Yeah,
the
sorry about that, Scott. Sorry
No,
for your
thank
loss.
you. Thank you.
I mentioned earlier today, Scott's will be the first house that enters production for us. It was our very first rebuild project, and we're working with a bunch of his clients. Um, in fact, we turned one of our investors on who lost his home in the Palisades, and they're
Wow.
working with Scott on two homes actually. Without further ado, Scott, love to, um, uh, Peter would love to learn more about you and the
Mhm.
work you do and how you work, and then Peter will happy to answer any questions about the work we're doing together.
Yeah, one quick question, Scott. Where were you living in the Palisades before?
Uh, we were at Akron and Bienvenida.
Got it.
In we backed up to a beautiful coastal canyon
Hmm.
with a stream that
Wow.
ran through it, and we were a little too close to that canyon and all that beautiful foliage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, although it's what we've seen is that it's neighborhood by neighborhood, it's and or even just kind of micro neighborhood areas are just hit so differently than others. And um, I'll just say that our house was not very old. We had basically taken it down to studs and beyond and put it back together with strategic additions. And it was a house that was fire hardened and exceeded
Wow.
code. And it's taught me a bit. Steve and I were in a conference together shortly after the fire where I was kind of stunned by a percentage that if you employ all fire hardening conditions, you are 40% um, um, likely to survive a wildfire. So
That's so interesting.
yeah, but I think the Palisades now gets a pass for quite some time. So
Yeah, I know. That's what we've been saying.
yeah, there's that. But also every family we're working with asks that question about what can be done. What are the best practices for making sure that our houses are as prepared as possible for a fire.
Heh,
So,
that's good to know.
mhm. So Steve, would you like me to
Please,
share my screen?
please,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, Okay. So, so I just as a little bit of a background, we're relatively new to prefabrication. I just wanted to include a project that we are is just about complete in Idaho, and that working there is what has brought us to custom prefabrication. And I just thought it would be helpful to kind of to show you that we gravitated to it as a process for completely different reasons than the Palisades, but not realizing how important that experience was going to be. In this case, this was a project, a very small lot in town in Ketchum, Idaho, in a highly competitive and highly priced construction market. And between those two things, and waiting 2 years for a contractor only to tell us that, oh, sorry, at the end of the 2 years, we got to wait another year. Um, we're going to be ready. Our clients said, oh, I think we're done with that. Let's figure out a better strategy here. So that's what led us to prefabrication. So um, we had the benefit in this for this project, and that practice of going from conventional construction to prefabrication on a very small lot that had a lot of zoning constraints. So if you got to learn on the job, it was a good one for that. It just try to understand the differences between conventional versus prefabrication. So I'm just going to kind of go through here, just to kind of show that this is by zoning code, we were required, in order to fit our project scope, we needed to go 3 stories. So we this is a project that has 3 levels of prefabricated modules. It is a project that set a new record for cost per square foot when it was built, because it has extremely expensive finishes, fixtures, appliances that were all installed in the factory, and it was a fantastic process, in terms of just kind of taking a building and making it beautiful, efficient. At the time, this was this saved a year in construction and $1 million in construction budget when we
Wow.
switched, which was a big deal. So I just wanted to kind of show an image here of the first of 7 mods getting placed. And if you were inside this space, literally every, the cabinets, cabinets, tile work, appliances, that the laundry room is included in this mod. So it was, as these trucks pulled up with these mods on them, they would unpack them, and it was a little bit like a Christmas present. You opened up, and this thing was finished inside, which was really pretty. Um, you can, Steve will be able to kind of give you more information, but we certainly can tackle exterior finishes in the factory as well. But our focus, and you'll see all the projects that I'm going to show you today, all are kind of trying to be a little bit of a hybrid, in that there's some amount of strategic field work that is incorporated into the project, and a lot of exterior field work as well, in terms of finishes, detailing. For example, you'll see a lot of stonework, a lot of finished siding, all things that are better done in the field. But so that just happens to be our process. So this is the end. 12 hours after they started, they had a 3-story, seven mod structure in place, and
Wow.
you can kind of see that the 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 buildings are, or let's say the glazing is much larger than it appears. It's sort of an understandable proportion, but you can kind of see these are 11-foot ceilings in this main level. It's kind of an upside down house, and
Wow.
10 feet on the other. So, and you can see why it really opened to a spectacular view. So,
Wow.
so we were able to this taught me a lot about process and detailing. What I love about this process, and I think most people do, is that it really requires a methodical process and a very detailed process before things start getting built. So, there's that world of, figuring out stuff as you go. In conventional construction, there are things to be said about that. But if you through working with us, what we do is a process of being very detailed about making those decisions, helping you make those decisions with us, and incorporating them into a detailed set of drawings that can then be fabricated. And we're going through that on a number of projects with Steve and his team, and it's refreshing, I find, to be able to do that. Um, so this is the project as this is just a little bit ago here as it's getting clad in exterior finishes. So I just want to kind of show you that we just finished another project, another prefabricated project in Ketchum, and with another one on the way. So that was all prior to fires, and then the Palisades happened. So um, as it didn't take long for me um, to think that this is going to be a strategy that is going to be extremely advantageous for a number of reasons in the Palisades, and so far that's absolutely proved true. We are working on both conventional and prefabricated projects in the Palisades. Right
Hmm.
now, we have about 20 projects in process. Out
In the
of
Palisades alone?
in the Palisades. Two of them
Wow.
are conventional construction, and all the rest are going through are in various stages of going through the process with plant. So, and that's because and our house was the first one. I kind of recognized in that kind of coming out of the shock of that first weekend of thinking, now what do we do? My thought was, I better hurry up and get something in place for our house, because I don't think I'm going to have any time to do it otherwise. So I pushed that through along with two others that started early, and those now are with plant. In fact, our house just received its state plan check approval today and was submitted to the city of Los Angeles. And our experience, and I'm just so happy to share that the state process for plan check it takes um, plant told us 2 to 3 weeks. It took a week.
Wow.
Great. And our experience with City of Los Angeles so far with conventional construction, we've gotten those approved in a week as well. I'm anxious to see, now that we submitted today for our house, and we have two others that are going to be right behind it. I would really love it if we can kind of see a very similar sort of turnaround, as it should be. That they don't want to stand in the way, and we don't want that. So, um,
Hey, Peter, let me just clarify. You said, like, did you mean the houses that you're doing conventionally when you submitted to LA, you got your permits a week later?
yes,
Okay. I mean,
yeah,
I talked to a lot of other architects. I've not heard that, so that's unbelievable. But that most people
yeah.
getting it a week later. That's for sure.
Yeah, now they're as of today, well, I think the last emergency um, declaration, they've opened up self-certification, where um, I am actually able to approve approve projects through approve project as a licensed architect, as a licensed architect with certification, so that there is no plan check process. There are some constraints on that that include, I'm not quite sure if it's only taking a week to get through it, why I really need to do that. I welcome other people looking at it. So
Yeah,
um,
incredible.
yeah, and I don't think that applies to modular projects. So that's fine,
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
in my opinion. Um, so this project here, I wanted to include. It was one of the first projects we started working on, and this is on Hampton Place. Are you familiar with that street?
I'm not. I'm familiar.
Yes.
We were in the Palisades 28 years, so I'm familiar with most, but if you give me a hint, what's it near?
This is oh that main village school is right. Can you see my
Oh,
cursor?
that's yeah, I do.
So it's
Oh,
this
I know what this is. I know what
little
this is.
one-way street.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little kind of sides. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a little loop.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
that's Swarthmore on the left.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's
And
really close to where we live. We lived.
mhm.
How do you, I don't know how to say that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to get through the semantics
But
of
yeah, I
it.
know that that's very close to us. I know where that is.
So this project, small street, tiny lot, um, young a young couple had finished renovating the house right before the fires, and so now we're rebuilding this house. It was a single story structure. Now it is going to be um, a basement garage and guest storage, mechanical, second floor main space with entry. This floor plan is showing that, and then uh, a second floor above that is bedrooms, and so it's a very interesting study in plan efficiency, and also kind of bringing to bear the idea of getting as much of this done in the factory as possible.
Yeah.
And another kind of unique factor that we're seeing is that this would not be a candidate for prefabrication because of the access and the tightness of everything. You need to organize how that crane and the trucks come in, except that there are no houses here. So this client is working with their neighbors to provide the access in order to do this. And we're seeing a lot of that kind of goodwill from from neighbors on that. So so here's this second floor. There is this all complies with the emergency permitting and specialized zoning requirements that are in play um, for the Palisades. There are
Mhm.
some unique zoning requirements that don't exist anywhere else, and so it's important to know those. Um, and and just a very basic building, but again with that idea of lots of glass that is opening out to garden and ultimate long view. Um, this is a project that is in the ABC streets, and it is a single story main dwelling, a semi-submerged basement with a detached ADU above it. And this is one that is, but actually, I think all of these are in the process with plan, except for the last one, which is about to be. So this one is a corner lot, which I love. It also happens to be a really great candidate um, for the logistics of setting modules here. And you can kind of see that these mods there. Here's one here. Here is one here and one here. So this is made up of three mods with a bit of field construction and then a covered wraparound porch. And this kind of shows that kind of example of using what modular construction does best in conjunction with what field construction does well, and that's how you kind of bring these around to what I am considering kind of a quintessential kind of Palisades response. So again, lots of light, these kind of bay windows. There's a lot of room for garden after the fact here. Kind of open plan skylights, and just sort of a simple response to on this site. This one also in the ABC streets is right around the corner up on Embry. Um, and this one is more modern, and more extensive, in that there's a basement, a full basement, and then two floors above. We had proposed a green roof as
That's
well.
cool.
And this family just went through a process with an adjoining neighbor to purchase the lot between them, and they're dividing it between the two of them. So this
That's so
project is,
interesting.
yeah, we're seeing there's some amount of that going on.
Hmm.
Um, and so far, what I've seen is that um, it's been older families that have no interest in building back, and so they're in kind of private conversation with their neighbors who are it's kind of a win-win. It appears
Good.
to me, which is good. Um, and this again shows this kind of this is a series of three mods, one, two, three, and then they are getting stitched together with a little bit of field construction and stacked on top of each other. And so it really lends itself to prefabrication. Um, and here's the second floor. This is three bedrooms upstairs. We really like a good plan, so a good
Mhm.
functional plan. Um, and there's a view looking back with kind of a covered area.
Nice.
Now this is a neighbor of yours. This is it's actually two lots, and it runs from Via de la Paz to Swarthmore. And
Which part is I know that area very, very well.
I think
Which
is it
part is via? Are
uh,
the
Via
sides or the
Via's
ends?
right here.
Via's on the end. Is it on a corner or in the middle?
It's two houses north of the corner. Yeah, is that Beirut there?
No, Beirut runs parallel with Via and Swarthmore. So
Oh yeah,
that would be the cross street would be like Earlham probably or Friends.
I think it's Friends. So this is very close to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good.
So this is a single family dwelling and it's a virtual not replacement because it's different than what was there, but it's more or less in the same footprint. And then on Swarthmore, it is a smaller single story, single family dwelling with an ADU, a detached ADU.
Huh?
Just a wonderful family. I know this family through Steve, and they're lovely. Um,
Hopefully that's what you'll say about us.
yeah, I have to say, uh, it's extremely rewarding, and I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time to be of service to a community that I love, and there's a kind of reciprocity that comes where it's like literally to a person, to a family. When I'm meeting them, it's like we're all in this, and this is why we're doing this is because they're such lovely people,
Great.
lovely neighbors. So
Yeah, we're all trying to figure out a way that we can still live there, and
it,
struggling with that. So hopefully you and Steve will be a means to that.
exactly. So so very very straightforward here. I guess I just want to say that um, these clients and I share an interest in a garden that how a house and a garden work well together. And so to that end, there's not only is there the thought of how you get to how you get through a garden to get to the front door and a covered porch that is a place to be able to hang out and be part of the neighborhood, which was very important to this family, but also how landscape can even become part of the architecture as well. Um, so just showing here, there are some specialized considerations in terms of structure and construction for modular construction, in that you figure, well, a couple of things. One, that there are size, not constraints, but there are sizes that fit on trucks. And those dimensions are 15 and a half feet wide by 60 feet long by 13 and a half feet tall. And so it's a little bit of a kind of a building block Lego kind of situation where you're trying to figure out how to apportion these across a site and get them all working together. So this is just showing that typically mods will have a ceiling and a floor. And if you look at these, many of these walls are where you have two mods coming together. You'll have two walls that you are organizing around, and there's all kinds of ways to sculpt that and work through it and remove it if you need to. But that's a good kind of starting point to think about how these lay out. This is the Swarthmore single story structure, just a sweet little house. And there's kind of a green wall that's been added here that creates a covered a vine covered trellis area on this side. And here's this house here with the ADU behind. And just to kind of show kind of a different aesthetic, this is a project on Chattanooga. This is just above where we are on Akron and Bienvenida. So it's on that hill. They have a spectacular view of the ocean, great family. And this one, um, we looked at a kind of a Irving Gill inspired modern Spanish uh, house that they pushed for that as a strategy, and I was happy to look at it as an option. This one also is essentially 3 stories tall. There's a submerged garage and stair up from the garage that gets you to the main level. There was some talk at the early stages of, oh, let's build a full basement. And we were able to talk with them early on about let's look at budget numbers, real budget numbers. And that's something that's very important to us to kind of say, let's um, put together a scope of work that meets your budget at an early stage so that we can efficiently move through the process, as opposed to that idea that you create a bunch of beautiful drawings and send it out to get pricing and find out, oh no, it's too expensive. That's not efficient. And it also doesn't really work well with this process where structural engineering is pretty integrally connected at the outset of their process. So you really don't want to go back in and undo it. So that makes budgeting really important. Um, and so just you can kind of see the simpleness of that. And then the last project is a new one, and Steve and Matt are about to get this one. This is in the Huntington, a beautiful
Hey,
site.
Scott, one
Yes.
quick thing. I
Mhm.
just have to transition to my phone, so I'm still listening, but if I
Okay.
get disconnected, I'll dial right back in.
Okay.
So, but keep going. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. This is a wonderful couple who are, I believe I think they're in their 80s. And their family said, are you sure you want to rebuild? We don't think that's such a good idea. And they said, we love the Palisades. We want to build our house, and we want to build a house that we love. And I really like that attitude. So this one is a little larger than some of the other projects as a single story structure. But Steve, I was mentioning that this is one that is really going to have some amazing finishes, including kind of um, a stone house kind of um, a detail to it. And they're avid gardeners. It's kind of a big part of their life. He's the CEO of some large um, nursery nursery companies, and so this is a house that really opens out onto this garden. But it's a series of mods that go together quite well, that incorporate some additional field construction as well. And it's just a really great example of kind of creating as close as you can get to a kind of a classic California courtyard house, at least 2 legs of a courtyard
Peter.
house.
Hey, how you doing? See you tomorrow night. Sorry about that.
No problem. So I think I'm just about there, and yeah, and so that's it. And these are just some of the projects that we're working on with Steve, and we're seeing a lot more. So and are very excited about it as a process. I can tell you that the the budget numbers that we just received as after plant has done a process of reviewing our construction drawings, matched almost precisely with the numbers that they had given us previously, which really bodes well uh, uh, making this a viable project for us, and for, making sure that, like I said, budget is really important in this process.
And Scott, I'm not on the front lines of the work we're doing with you, but last I checked in with Matt, the total all-in hard costs for your Palisades projects were coming in at 550 to 650 a square foot. Is that still right?
Yeah, so your numbers, I'm going to talk about them in two ways. You know, are you guys quoting right now a sort of 300 to 350 a foot as from on the factory side?
Oh no,
Or
we've got projects that are 220, 250 to,
okay.
yeah.
So our project, you guys said it was going to cost 272, and right now we're at 276 a foot. On on the um, on the factory side, but you really have to take a holistic approach, as you know. So our projects right now, all of the projects we're working on with you, range between 600 to 800 a foot all in. That includes landscape. That includes our fees,
Okay,
engineering.
you're including soft too. Yeah, no,
That includes everything. And
yeah,
I'll just say that my belief is that a budget is only as good as that it includes everything, including what it costs for all of us
yeah.
to get a project there. We have a project that may have been one of these that is down at like 511 a foot all in. But anyway, yeah, where I think 600 is a good number to kind of consider, and you can affect that lower and higher. It's within someone's control to
Yeah.
kind of affect that.
Yeah, hey Megan, yeah, I noticed you had your hand up. You were here last night too. Do you still have a question?
Yeah, I do actually. Sorry, I just got on the call late. So Scott, have you done any projects in Malibu?
I
Um,
haven't.
None in Malibu,
Not post fire.
not post fire. Yeah, I mean, I was when you said the permits were being issued within a week, it was they've only issued two permits in Malibu in total.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going through a portion of that process with our own home in the Palisades. That we're in a coastal zone, and many of these projects are. And there's some state relief from that coastal process, and I've seen it firsthand. With the city of Los Angeles and planning. The city administers that process as
Mhm.
opposed to the state, which is just a complete godsend, and essential to getting things done at any
Yeah,
kind
they
of time.
eliminated CEQA, and so I think that made a huge
Yeah,
difference.
between that and no state input in the process, that should be helpful with in Malibu, but it is quite a different place.
And the other question that I wanted to ask was, for example, I live up in Big Rock,
Hmm.
and so like there's a pretty decent. I mean, I'm not far up in Big Rock, but like there's the first hairpin turn. Like how? I mean, it seems like I wouldn't be able to do a modular. I'd maybe be able to do panels because trying to get actual modular unit up into Big Rock?
We've looked into a series of much smaller mods in conjunction with panels for some projects as well. So it really is dependent on the site. And as you probably came in a little bit late, but we have a few projects that wouldn't be viable except that there's nothing but staging area around them.
Yeah, actually, when I was driving here, I was talking to my sister, and I think the one on Swarthmore is down the street from her friend, I mean, obviously her house was lost. And then my sister lives on Embry, and my niece lives on Galloway. So it seems like there's a lot going on in the Palisades, which is great. And it seems like you've got a lot of projects.
It's yeah, I think yeah, it's great. It's great. We're not saying no to anybody right now.
Okay. But you don't have any clients in Malibu at the moment.
No,
But
no.
you've dealt with the city before.
I have, yes.
But we dealt with Malibu a lot, Megan, as we discussed yesterday.
Yeah.
A number of homes there.
Do you have any, Steve, do you have any projects? I know you said Woolsey. Do you have any architects that you're dealing with the city this go round yet?
We don't have any, actually. We may have one project in Malibu. I have to,
Yeah, because
we have so many that I don't know them all.
yeah, no, I'm just curious because like the whole Malibu thing is just a, such a shit show.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I can say that our structural engineer is a wonderful guy, is the former building official for Malibu. So that's about as close as we get to it. And yeah, I don't know. And I think there are people who have a lot of experience working there. And I just hope I know we're rebuilding in Healdsburg and in San Diego County after fires, and every municipality that we've dealt with has been extremely helpful in terms of getting through the permitting process.
Okay.
Um, we back to your original question, we've looked at Big Rock for other projects in the past, and they've been feasible. So we need to look at your address, Megan. If you email me,
Okay.
That's something we do.
Okay. Perfect.
And I'm going to put both my and Scott's email in the chat. And people are free to reach out to Scott directly. Scott, if you had to summarize why prefab, what are the advantages over a traditional site-based process?
Time and money. Number one, we are seeing about a 30 to 40% savings in time over conventional construction. That does translate into cost savings. Right now, I'd say that there's the potential for 20-25% savings over conventional construction in cost. I believe we're going to see such a impacted construction environment. And I think that subcontractors, we're already seeing it with both our conventional and prefabrication pricing, that there's some profit taking happening. And so this idea of being able to do it in a much more controlled environment out of the burn area is really helpful. And then finally, I would just say as an architect who's worked in conventional construction for almost 40 years now, I would say that there's something so refreshing and liberating about everything in its place and the efficiency and process of prefabrication.
Yeah, we talked last night about reliability too. You might want to talk about that. It's, one thing to get a schedule and a budget from a GC and quite another to actually realize that schedule and budget. So a
Absolutely.
schedule and a budget that's reliable. You just I mean, your home is our first project together, but you experienced that. We gave you an estimate and sort of um, advanced pricing that's very similar. Now that's a little different, and I want to be clear about that because, as you know, early on, if you're just at a schematic level, we're making a bunch of allowances. So that was a happy coincidence. Although we don't play a game that some GCs do. We don't try to low bid people on the estimates, knowing that we can make it up later because that's just not right. So
Right. And what I've been very happy with is there is a kind of a transparency that I really appreciate, where we're going to have a healthy kind of back and forth on budget, and in the same way I would with a field general contractor as well. And there's a kind of a collaboration in forming the best scope of work with the best people putting it together. And each project is a little different. So I already know that that's going to be the case here, and that's really great.
any other questions, Megan or Aaron? Or actually, there are more people. Hi, Liz. Nice to see you. Susan, any? mm,
Oh, hi, Susan.
I have a question if there's availability there.
You bet.
Um, do you mind? I can't, for whatever reason, access the chat on my phone. Can you just give me Scott's? I have your information, Steve, but I don't. If you could just give me
Yeah,
Scott's email verbally, I can write it
yeah.
down.
I know. I'll just email it to you since,
Okay, if you email it to me, that'd be great.
yeah, because
And
you're
Scott,
getting back to me anyway. Better. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Scott, you said a little while ago you're sort of estimating $600 to $800 a square foot all in, including soft costs and landscaping. Is that right?
Yes.
And is that for properties with this relatively small square footage under 2,000 square feet?
Yeah, interestingly, that number seems to hold fairly steady across um, in across a bunch of different sizes of project. It's a pretty wide
And
range.
uh, yeah, um, it's very competitive to what we've been
Well,
talking to other people.
we're seeing, yeah, our conventional projects for us in the burn area, 800 to 1,200 a foot.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that and getting very depressed about not being able to move back. So
Yeah.
this is very encouraging, meeting Steve and speaking with you. There's hope here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
what was I going to ask you? Oh, how backed up are you with projects in terms of what's your timeline sort of like?
We've just started three new projects over the last 2 weeks. And the key is that I am the guy for schematic design, kind of getting a feasibility process um, in place with you, where we design a building that we share with you and collaborate on the process of design, and do very detailed budgeting and scheduling. And once we get to that point, I have a really great staff that we're primarily working on this kind of project right now, and we have surrounded ourselves with a really great team of consultants. I'll just tell you that I was extremely disappointed that for our home where I started the week after the fire that we are in. We just got our state plan check approval today. It should have been so much faster. And recognizing why that was is the reason that we now are working with 5 different structural engineering firms. And we are really we are asking for the same sense of urgency that we feel as members of the community. Like, let's get this together. And I have to say that many of the people that we're working with are saying to us, we're not that interested in getting back that quickly. But my feeling is at least it's great to be able to kind of give you the flexibility to either go fast or go slow, but let that be your decision rather than the processes.
Yeah. Um, so if somebody was to say, meet with you and say, yeah, we want to work with you, sort of what's the timeline you would sort of spitball from
So
working with you up until the building to ultimately the ultimate question, move in?
yeah, so I'll just use uh, as I was talking about this sort of this process, honing the process has been fascinating because projects that we started 2 months ago are about to go into a 1 week plan check process and be even with us in terms of timing. So
Oh God.
so so it's important work, this, um, this process engineering to make sure that that they're all well covered. So let me see. Our project, which will start, what we're thinking is going to start construction in the factory in October and be ready for set in January, and probably be complete about 3 months after that. So start to finish, I think that's 8 or 9 months. Um, and as I mentioned, projects that we started, if you figure sort of 2 to 3 months of process, 2 to 4 months, I guess, and then it goes to this sort of engineering process with plant. The engineering part of engineering how it's going to be built in the factory. That and pricing, that our experience is 2 months or so, I guess, 2 to 3 months, and then construction. The estimate in the factory is 4 to 6 months, and I think they're so far it seems like they're trending towards the lower end of that estimate. So I don't know.
We shouldn't be giving you 6 months, Scott, something that, I mean, those are much bigger projects. So we'll have to talk on the side.
Mhm.
These should be 3 month projects. Well, once we're in production.
Right, right. So that's amazing, and that's what we've had 6 months in our schedules since the outset, and you've just made it better. So it's always good to go faster.
And that's in parallel to the site work, everyone, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right, right. Like you were saying this morning, Steve, right?
Exactly, right.
So,
Yeah,
so wait, so sorry, go ahead, Scott.
and that employing, I anticipate that just like our structural engineering experience, this is a much bigger process than having one good contractor who's going to be working on all these projects. It's a bunch of good contractors. We know a lot of good ones. I've had some amazing um, process conversations with Modset, with Scott Urban, Steve, who is the company that set the most recent plant prefab multifamily housing on Berkeley. Um, and just a fantastic guy. And this is a process that you really need that good um, person who or firm who knows how to um, the process of getting these mods into place on your site. So anyway,
That was my
it's an
my
all-in
question.
engineering.
In terms of contractors, who are familiar with sort of stitching the boxes together, is that that's probably a niche field. It's not just any contractor that can do this, correct?
It's not every contractor, but our experience is that you don't necessarily have to be a contractor who has that experience in order to do this, but you have to embrace it as a process and imagine what that's like for a lot of um, old school general contractors. This is a bit of a disruptor in the process. So
Sure.
it's something that we're actively working through. We're big proponents of old school competitive bidding, even now, maybe now more than ever. So we have quite a wide bandwidth of contractors that we're working with.
Yeah, so I clarify a bit further. So as I mentioned last night, we a number of GCs with whom we've done now multiple projects, including um, one of the people here saw a project we completed our work. It's not yet complete in Venice a few months ago, and that's our third project with that GC. So in fact, there are a couple GCs we work with who've given up doing site-based traditional process altogether. None of them do their own stitching. That's typically handled by one of a handful of firms that do this across the country, and that's all they do. They just set hundreds of modules for homes and schools and commercial projects, and it's a very narrow. They range transport, they do the install. Typically, it's a week worth of work. They're a subcontractor to the GC, and everything before and after GCs know how to do foundation work, drywall between the mod lines, cladding, roofing, utility hookups, pendant lights, all the stuff that needs to be done post install. It's standard. Absolutely nothing that's prefab specific.
So
They'll
when
hire these groups for the prefab work that's very niche.
so so when the modules come to the site, then is the GC how is this person with the niche experience in putting it together? How do you connect with them? Do you connect us with them, or how does that work? How do
Yeah, it
we
would
know?
come
We
through
don't do that.
us
That's
and the
the GC.
Yeah, us and the general. And like I said, that ModSet is one of those firms that they basically, in our experience, crane and set crews kind of work together, and they're very much regional, and they're amazing. So a lot of what you're describing, the stitching happens at set. There's particular ways that these things are put together.
But to be clear, we don't sell our work to you as an end user. We are B2B company. We sell to your general contractor. So why? Because we want one group responsible for all of your construction, whether it's happening in the factory, whether it's happening at the site. Frankly, you shouldn't be concerned with that.
Gotcha.
You're going to work with an architect like Scott. They're going to design a project for you. That architect will stay involved, checking work along the way. But once the design is done and you have your permits, you're going to spend much less time with the architect, and you'll have another major contractor that's your general contractor, and they're going to actually do the construction. And we are like a master sub to them.
Gotcha.
Again, we do this consciously because you shouldn't be thinking what set crew and prefab and site. No, you just got one group responsible for all construction.
Gotcha.
You got to pick carefully there. And
Yeah.
Scott's going to bid it out. Scott's your architect. He's going to bid it out to a few GCs. Now we highly recommend, and we're actually just getting to this place with Scott. We're going to recommend he talk to some people we know that we've worked with that we like a lot. He'll make his own decision based on some combination of cost and assessment about whether he thinks the groups are good, and we'll do the level of quality of the work he expects and all that kind of fun stuff. But then he's his own project a little bit as an architect. So I'm sure be out at plant looking. Well, architect always will be part of the inspection process, but he really should be going to his GC to make sure that the work he's getting, regardless of where it's happening, is what he expects. And frankly, if he has any problems, he goes to that GC because they'll own the entire warranty.
Gotcha. And then the other question I had, in terms of price per square foot, and I know that's all, it depends, but the soft cost, that's a pretty, because if the factory stuff is around, let's say 300, I'll do 300 to make it easy. And then the soft costs add another 4 to 5. What is the biggest soft cost component? I mean, what's the big
Well, it depends. It depends on the project. So a lot of the projects that I showed today are projects with a healthy amount of field construction. So that number is fairly close to the cost of the factory work. So that would be the biggest other cost. It would be you got to look at it, this budget, holistically,
uh-huh.
and that number, that so it's great that $300 a foot gets you a really great building in the factory, but it's got all that other stuff that.
Sure. So the soft costs, you're in that number, you're including like the field work that needs to be done, whether it's
No,
like
No, no, no,
no.
no,
no.
no. But in our initial, so when we start a project, when we start feasibility, that process,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way that we can get people to weigh in and give us numbers on that
Sure.
stuff. So what we do is we rely on a pretty deep um, um, bit of data that
Mm-hmm.
comes from competitive bidding on like projects, in this case
Sure.
in Palisades. So we have very detailed budget estimates. So we're able to kind of take all that information, and the key, I'll say, to what we do is that at that early stage is that we force ourselves to do a scope of work process where we take a look at what we've designed, and we apportion who's doing what at a very early stage. Not that that won't change, because we want to hear kind of how the factory and the field are going to kind of hash that all out, but you need something in place to then apply numbers to all that field work to match them up. And
Mm-hmm.
then the last part for us is that we include soft costs. So that's engineering, our fees. There shouldn't be any permit fees, but anyway, all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
Does the soft cost include the contractor's fees?
No,
yes.
no.
Oh, no. Sorry, that's included in the hard costs.
Sorry, let me take us out of this, Scott. Hard cost is all construction, including contractor fee, any work that gets actually built. So everything related to the GC plan, transport, install, landscape, all that's hard. Soft means non-construction, design fee, and typically happens almost all, but not totally, but almost all before you actually start construction. Design, permits, Um, consultants like a soils engineer or survey, those are soft costs.
Yeah.
Typically, it's 10 to 20% of your project, but that's including permits, and you're not going to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good explanation. And a really key piece of information that our fair plan adjuster told me that our codes and laws coverage um, uh, covers any required professional fees to put your house back together. So I just issued our all of our soft cost fees to our adjuster, and I spoke to her last week, and she said that she was approving them, which is really great.
So
That should not come out of your coverage A.
it
Question.
comes out of, is that comes out of the um what is it, the
Codes and laws, or
like to making it current, right?
no, it's well, I don't know. I'm not an insurance person. I
No, it's there's like a percentage that they give you for upgrades. Is the upgrade one?
No, in ours, I wouldn't have known except that our adjuster spelled it out in detail. So
Oh, okay.
it's a reimbursement. So you have to pay it out, and
Yeah.
then they pay it back.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have the upgrades, like the upgrades, like any upgrades that I have to do, I have
Hmm.
to pay for them and then submit them and then get them back. But
Yeah,
anyway,
we're doing a lot of upgrade budgeting as well for our clients.
okay. Um, so I'm still so because so that price, and I'm not holding you to it or anything like that. You said it was like 2 7, like let's say $300 a square foot, but that and then the rest of it is soft costs.
No, it's well, the field work. Think of as Steve said, everything that is involved in the construction, the actual construction of your project, factory and field, is hard cost.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's all that's, and you had asked what is that second largest number? And that second largest number is the field hard cost of your construction. Kind of put those both together and add soft cost to it, and you're going to get around
Got
between 600 and 800 a foot.
600. Okay, gotcha.
And that includes the contractor's fee as
That
well.
absolutely includes the contractor fee.
Okay. And then Scott, one other question. You went into detail, but I kind of got lost in the woods there with the breakdown of the timeline. So let's just say we were to work with somebody like we were to work with you from when we sort of say go to when we would move in. Like I know you can't guarantee anything, but just
Uh,
spitballing, what would you
nine
sort of
nine
guess?
let's just say 9 to 12 months.
But
You
define
kidding me?
so that wait, you
That,
mean once construction starts, Scott, right? Not you're starting
Well, let's say, well, construction starts for us, so just using our house as an example. um um uh Once construction starts, we're figuring that we will be complete in about 6 months, and I think that's going quite fast. I wouldn't say that everyone should count on that. I think 8 months is definitely doable. The project that we're just finished in Idaho was completed in 8 months. And then, but I think 12 months is a reasonable number to consider as that you can control that it can take longer if you'd like, or
yeah, 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 yeah.
there's not a lot of, you know, it'll be part of our feasibility process with you to put a very detailed schedule together that you
Yeah,
can.
yeah. But in general, if we were to say, okay, Scott, let's get started, it would take roughly about 12 months from then to
Yeah.
move in if there
Yeah.
aren't anything abnormal? That's
That's a very yeah, that's very comfortable, especially given that just a standard conventional reconstruction of a project on Lockman, the a single story, just most basic kind of post and beam house. I mean, it is a post and beam house, but their quote is 15 months for construction.
Yeah,
yeah. No, I know how long everybody else is taking. I'm blown away by your timeline.
Well,
I don't believe.
let's see. Let's see in April if we're our house is complete.
uh,
Right.
the one thing that I think is really nice about the prefab is that when you do a regular construction project, let's say one of your subs doesn't show up and and then it pushes everything else back, and then you have to reschedule. So the the factory, when it's done in the factory, there's you don't have that sort of human element that can delay things on your project.
If I had the clients that I'm currently working with on this call who are doing prefabrication processes, they're um, just thinking of two, they would have polar opposite responses to that. One of them would say, "You're absolutely right." The other one would say, "Are you kidding me? It was so, where it's the process, depending on what you're doing, uh, you're not immune from human factor. There's still a fair amount of field work that gets done. So it still is a recognizable construction process where the minute you think um, the minute you think you've got it all tamed, watch out because there'll be some issue to deal with. That's my experience.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
yeah, so you know it's not a complete panacea. But it's a pretty great process.
It sounds markedly different than others, though,
Yeah, well, just
and conventional.
the discipline that's required of this process is it's just, you know, why shouldn't every project have as many of those decisions in place before they start construction? It makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, Steve. It's like yesterday's Zoom where it was brought up, same kind of thing, saying it forces you to make those decisions at the front end.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
you have to be disciplined to do that. That
And
makes sense.
there are some really valuable tools that we use to help with that process. We share these digital models that you're able to walk through on your own, and there's no place to hide. You're able to really zoom in and see, outlets and switches and lights and ask any of those questions. It's all very important, a very important part of knowing what you're getting because this is a process that really requires that.
Awesome. Any other questions? Anyone?
Mhm.
This is incredible. It's really great.
Thank you. Thank you for joining all of you, and I'm so happy to see my neighbor Susan here as well.
Mhm.
Peter may at this point be the person who has done the most due diligence of any prospective client we've ever had. So hopefully we're getting you there, Peter.
It's really helpful. I really appreciate you all making the time for this. It's super informative. It's been a roller coaster ride of minute, absolute next minute, not. This morning, Steve, and this evening. So we're gonna huddle and get back to you all and set up
Sounds
some
great.
calls. And Steve, I think your structure makes total sense. The way you talked about having the contractor be the point person, and that we don't really deal with plant. No offense, we'd like to deal with you, but
Yeah.
your structure makes total sense. That's
Yeah.
one of our
And
concerns with some of the other prefab. That's not situation where everybody's pointing the finger at the other person and we're in the middle.
Yeah. And in fairness, we did that too our first few years, and we're like, nope, this is bad. We need to change the model. And by the way, I should make clear because we talked about this morning in your tour. So your GC will do regular inspections at the factory, like they do any sub, to make sure the sub is doing work at the
Right,
quality they expect. The architect will come. Scott will be coming to the factory, making sure we're building in conformance with the plans. And you will be welcome anytime, just as you can always go to your site
right,
and see what's going on. So while
right,
while we you won't be our client per se, we're very aware at the end of the day, you are the ultimate client. And of course, we will welcome you always. The only difference is if you start telling us stuff you want done, we're going to say, actually, please communicate this to the GC because we don't want any disconnect, right?
right.
The GC, you are paying money. Make sure you get what you want from your service provider, and then they will communicate to us. But now, how this really goes down, clients go walk with their GCs, and it's all one big conversation. But the GC better be taking notes, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Awesome.
Great. Well, we're gonna be in contact, and I'll with both of you,
Sounds
Steve and
good.
Scott.
And Steve, I'm gonna send you my address to
Awesome.
see whether or not we can get anything up the hill.
Okay, good. Look
Yeah,
forward
yeah,
to it.
yeah. Because
Yeah, awesome. We'll get you in a feasibility assessment as soon as we can.
okay. All
Hey,
right.
Scott, thank you so much for doing this. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. We're loving working with you, and can't wait to get your home in production.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for including me, and so nice to meet you all.
All
And
right.
good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Have a
Okay.
good evening,
Bye-bye.
all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.